Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your design and technology lesson for this week. In design technology, this half time, we're going to learn about where our food comes from and how it's been changed. And we're going to do some really lovely cooking activities. So I hope you're ready to learn. Your learning question for this week is, where does our food come from? Your steps to success are: I can discuss how different types of food contribute to a healthy diet. I know that people need different kinds of food to keep them healthy. I can explore and discover where foods come from as I choose, prepare, and taste different foods. Star Wars, my turn, your turn, my turn first. Food, plants, animals, caught, farmed, processed, harvested, transport. Now, where does our food come from? Pause the video and have a little think. Were you able to do that? Okay, let's find out together. So, food comes from plants or animals, or for both plants and animals. Food has to be caught, farmed, or grown at home. Now, do you know how food is changed? Some foods are not changed much at all from when they're caught or farmed to when we eat them. Can you think of some foods like this? Pause the video and discuss with someone in your household. Were you able to do that? Fantastic. So can you tell me some of them? Well done. Fruit and vegetables are not changed at all from when we grow them or farm them to when we eat them. So look at that here. Fantastic. Now, some foods are changed a lot from when they are caught or farmed to when we eat them. Can you think of some foods like this? Pause the video and discuss with someone in your household. Were you able to do that? Fantastic. You're absolutely right. Cake or bread is changed a lot. You cannot grow it or harvest it or catch it, can we? So here you go. You have bread or crisps or cake or cheese. They're all of these foods changed. Now, how do you think bread is made? Do you know that bread is one of our most important foods? Where do you think bread comes from? Shall we find out together?
Today, we're looking at how to make bread. To make our bread, we need flour.
Flour is a powder made from grinding wheat, and wheat is a cereal grain grown by farmers all over the world.
So, Tony, how do we harvest our wheat grain?
Well, first, Emma, the wheat needs to be dry, and to harvest the wheat, we'll need to use a combine harvester. A combine harvester is a heavy machine that combines 3 separate jobs into one simple process, and that works, Emma, by...
First, a rotating reel flattens the crops down to the cutter. The crops are then cut and pushed through the machine into a threshing drum that shakes the grains away from their stalks. The grain collected is then emptied every now and then into tractors which drive alongside.
Then, while the combine continues its work, the tractor goes back to the farm where the grain is stored ready to be made into flour. There has been a watermill on this site for over 800 years. And the stone milling that takes place here is one of the oldest and slowest, but still best methods for turning wheat grain into flour. And I think we should have a look at how they do it. The waters of the River Gowie flow past the mill, turning this giant wheel, which is connected to the gears inside the main building. The gear wheels are connected to that vertical shaft that you saw downstairs. Upstairs, that turns these traditional French burr stones. It also turns this damsel, which knocks all of the wheat onto them. There's two stones. There's a bed stone, which just sleeps on the bottom, and the runner stone, which runs around doing all of the work on the top. It grinds the wheat together, so that by the time it comes to the outside of the stones, it's turned into flour. How good is that? Now, as you've seen, it is a slow process, but that slow process means that every bit of grain is turned into the finest flour.
Bakers start work very, very early, and today was a 5:30 start for the whole Fiddler family.
This morning I started at 5:30, came in here and I have to weigh out my flour and put my salt, yeast, oil, water, all in my pan. White bread is just white flour, salt, yeast, oil and water. That's it. Nothing else, no preservatives, no added extras, no sugar, no emulsifiers, no bread improvers, just 100% 5 ingredients. When I got doing more fancy breads really, I wrote my dad in and he's probably been helping me for 3 years. And then as my kiddies have got older, that was Bobby this morning, she comes and weighs the dough out. So she has to cut it, weigh it, gives it to my dad puts it in tins. From a basic white mix, we will do farmhouse tins. We will do some what we call sticks or baguettes. We do buns. Out of that white mix is what you saw Bobby do the Turinshires. She took some aside for that Turinshires, and the Mediterranean cobs was made out of a white mix. You also saw Bobby do a plat. That was out of the white bread. You could brush it with milk and it would just give a different finish. You could brush it with melted butter and it would make it shine. And she sprinkled that with poppy seeds. You could put anything on that. Once we've kneaded the bread and it's gone in the tins, it goes on the proving racks and it has to prove. This is where it doubles in size. And you've just got to get it right before it goes in the oven. If it overproves, it sinks back into the tin and flops out over the sides. So you've just got to get it just right. They go in for 10 minutes on a nice hot oven, and after 10 minutes it's reduced to 200, and then it's baked for 25 minutes. And when you open the oven doors, oh, it's a lovely smell, lovely sight to see all this golden bread. It's gone in, white, pale, pasty, come out, bread.
So did you enjoy learning how to make bread? Now you can pause the video and recall some of the steps. You can discuss that with someone in your household. Were you able to do that? Fantastic. Okay, so let's move on and have a look. Where does fish come from? Do you know? It says most of our food is grown and farmed. Some fish is farmed on fish farms, but much of it is caught. Have you ever been fishing? Maybe you can watch a video about where fish comes from. There's some very special farms as well that you can grow fish there. Now, processing. A lot of our food is processed, which means that it is changed from when it is harvested, farmed, or caught to when we buy it. Can you think of some foods and some ways that they are changed before we get to them? Here are some ways that foods are processed, changed before they get to us. Salt, sugar, ice cream are some foods that are processed and they're changed. Now, after that, food needs to be transported between different places, like, for example, from the farm to the factory and from the factory to the shop. Now, the final destinations. So can you think of some of the different food outlets? That means places that we can buy food from. You can pause the video and discuss with someone in your household. Were you able to do that? Fantastic. So what are the places that we can buy food from? Thank you for telling me, like, you can buy food from the supermarket or a restaurant or an ice cream truck or maybe market, a farm's market. Fantastic. Now, let's talk about growing our own food. Have you ever grown your own food? Now, think of some places that people might grow their own food at. Fantastic. Thank you for telling me. Gardens or window boxes or allotments are some of the places that people may grow food at. Now, how can we store food? Thank you. We store food maybe like in our fridge or freezer. So let's have a look. If food is left out in the oven, it gets rotten. Can you think of some ways that we store food to stop it going off? As we discussed already, we might decide to store food in the fridge or freezer. Now, storing food in cold places stops fungi and bacteria growing in or on it, which stops the food. So did you enjoy learning about food? Where does it come from? And all the process of coming to us. Fantastic. So let's have a look at your task. Your task today is to create a healthy lunchbox. Your challenge is to think and say, where does the food in your lunchbox come from? Do you think the food that you decided to draw has been changed, has been processed? Remember to take a picture and send that to your class teacher. I hope you enjoyed today's DT lesson and I will see you next time. Well done, everybody. Bye.